I see sport as a critical vehicle for the development of the human being. And by definition, if we could divert more human capital towards it, qualified and competent human capital, more resources, financial, etc., I think what we will see is not just crime, and I think you're very right. I think sport, I was a little disappointed that big symposium over the last couple of days, and sport in my mind, and culture, and I'll make a plug here for culture, weren't specifically identified. I don't know what they would call it, a workshop, a little session, specifically using that as two tools, because not just in Trinidad, that was a Caribbean one, but it is true to say that in the Caribbean, what has defined us most in internationalize is our sporting people and our cultural people, more so than our business people and all the other people that drive the economy in a more meaningful way. So from my perspective, I think that is the first point I want to make to you, first observation of sport as a vehicle. I just use my own words there, right? With regard to, and I'll break up the bits into tourism, young people, I call them young people, primary, secondary school, the masses, as I call it, sport for all when I was referring to it earlier, and elite. Starting with the youth, it is interesting that in our structure in Trinidad and Tobago, the responsibility some time ago for direct intervention in primary and secondary schools where sport is concerned was moved from the many juggles of the various ministries and the iterations over the last, well, I'm only in sports admin for 52 years, but over that 52 years, it has now ended up in the last maybe 20 or 30 years with the Ministry of Education. That has been a challenge where, to my mind, the spirit of volunteerism that pervaded when I was an athlete in my youth seems to not be as prevalent. Teachers don't volunteer their time as readily as back in the day after hours, right? So that the whole ethos of sport as a critical component of your educating a human being seems to have waned. Combination, to my mind, of what I've just described, the reticence of teachers to volunteer their time selflessly, parents who make it a binary choice for a child, you know, sport or your studies. And sadly, in our environment, very often that means they go to school supposedly for the study part of the education, and then when they leave school, they have to go to classes for the same thing all over again, taking up time from sport. And as you realize, I'm fairly passionate about the sport angle, so I feel quite disappointed. But that is a phenomenon that I've been seeing for the last couple of decades.